got something called an IP table. That's what's going to allow it to talk back to the processor. So this guy's kind of the processor's the smartest, quote unquote, device in the building. So everything kind of needs to route back through that. You got your Ethernet settings over here. So if you want to pull the MAC address or get the IP address off it, this is where you do it.
System info.
System info, yeah. But what I wanted to do is, coming over here, I can see what you have the Ethernet settings set up for. So if I hit this little, on the top right of all these sections, there's these little play buttons, just a little triangle. They're really tiny, but
A caret.
It's a little caret, yeah.
Okay.
You press it and it'll pop open this window for you. In this case, you can change the IP address settings and stuff if you want. Change your host name, whatever. What I'm doing this for, though, is I wanted to see if you guys were using a static IP address or a DHCP address to see if there's something dynamically handing them out or something statically handing them out. Right now, I can see
static.
It is static. Yeah, you can see it says use static IP. It's highlighted here.
Now, quick question. Okay.
Yeah.
There's going to be a zillion of them. So you plugged into there, but how do we know that's the static IP address of because you're in a network right now, how do we know it's that controller?
So when I communicated to it, when I hit this pencil icon down here, and this is probably something you might be familiar with already.
Nah, we're not.
So when you're connecting into a part, like this one right here, when you get into the system info tool, it's gonna pop. Nothing's gonna pop up at first.
Okay.
So you're gonna go down to this pencil icon here, and this is where you choose what you want to connect to. So I could choose an IP address here. I'd just type it in. I could type in 192.168, whatever.
2.1, whatever.
Exactly. But or I can, on the top here, instead of TCP, I can select USB.
It's kind of like the address book.
Which is
Same
similar to the address book, yeah.
Okay.
So once you have that, I can take this USB. I'm like, cool, I'm plugged in to that part back there, so I know that's what I'm going to talk to.
I gotcha.
So this is, once again, if starting a project cold, I'd always start with a USB connection. Once you got it, you hit OK. It'll do its thing. It'll connect into it. This is probably one of the more complicated steps, though. This is not actually something you would do with Toolbox. This is something I'm going to do with my laptop to allow me to communicate with everything else. And you can see I have this Ethernet here. So if you click on your Wi-Fi, it'll show all your different Wi-Fis, but also show up unidentified network at the top.
That's because you have that network plugged into your. Right. So,
correct.
So you've got the ones that are.
I'm going to go in there, and then on the right here, there's this option, change adapter options. I'm going to go in here, and this took me forever to learn, so don't feel.
No, I'm actually familiar with this area of the computer.
Great.
Yeah.
So yeah, you go in here, you go to wherever your Ethernet's connected to. You're going to go to its properties, and if you go to this Internet Protocol version 4 or IPv4,
right.
You go in. You can set a static IP address onto your laptop.
Onto the unidentified network.
So for me, that's what I was trying to find. I wanted to try and find this, and I'm just gonna. Unfortunately, I don't know your full IP schema, so I'm just gonna guess and try and land on an IP address that isn't being used right now. Generally, a safe bet is gonna be like 253 or something like that. Very rarely are they gonna get
because it's at the end of the list.
It's at the end of the list.
Right,
exactly.
I gotcha.
So that's usually where I put myself. And then you got to set your subnet mask. And then the default gateway doesn't matter as much, but if you want to throw it on there, it can't hurt anything.
So what he's doing is changing his IP address in his computer, giving it a static one, so it can actually talk to the network of all the Crestron stuff only.
So that way he's using the
he's not able
Ethernet.
to talk to it. In other words, he has the same. He's going to put himself in the same street, so he can talk to all the houses in that street.
Correct.
That's
So
what he's
to
doing.
kind of summarize,
He's given the same street address in his computer, so he can actually see everybody talking in the same street and all the houses that are there. That's all the Crestron stuff in the one street, every single house. Or he's moving into the same street, so he can actually talk to it. Otherwise, he's in another street. You can see it, but he can't talk to them because he's not in the same street. So that's what he's doing right now.
Exactly.
so you used your USB ether or FireWire to get the address of the controller, and then you put it onto your unidentified network using the computer settings for the different internet connections that it had by adding the TCP4 protocol, that the X.X.X, just TCP4, right?
And I just want to be completely clear, just so everyone's aware. You want to make sure you're picking something that's not already on the network.
So there's not a conflict.
So you don't want to pick the address of your neighbor or the other house. Or the
You don't-
other
you
house.
don't wanna-
have your
if-
own address.
If I'm on a, if you're in your car, you don't want to. It would be really weird if you drove into someone's house,
Yes.
busted down the wall. That's
Yes.
not going to work out well. You want to stay on the street. You want to be in your own place.
With your own address, exactly.
So use one higher up on the list,
Yes.
close
In
to
other
the
words,
end.
If they
Yes,
have
exactly.
maybe 10 processors in the whole network, they have 255, 198, whatever, 1, 0, 2, 3, their own order. So he gives himself like almost at the last one.
You use 253 because I think
That
264 is the
way,
last
hopefully
one.
They're not
Or
using
263.
254 is the last
254. Okay, and that one's being communicated. 0 and 254 are being
0 and
used.
254 are usually reserved.
Send and receive.
So I usually go for 253 because generally they don't get up that high. Like for example, that the one that I just connected to via USB was at 18.
Right.
So I mean, like even if you skipped a few, you have to get real high to get up to 253.
Right.
And just to make sure I've done it and I've succeeded, so I'm gonna go into this other tool here. If you're just on the main, it's gonna be this binoculars icon. But if you can't see that, just go into tools. They're all here. It's gonna be this device discovery tool.
Okay.
I'm gonna hit
Okay.
enter. It's going to pull up this little black screen, and then if I've done it correctly, which I have here, this whole area here will populate with all the devices that it can see on the network.
For all the floors. Everything,
all
that,
the
everything
floors.
that the Ethernet's plugged into.
Anything that the Ethernet's connected to. So I can see you guys have 3 AP3s, it looks like, one on 5th floor, one on 4th floor, one on the ground floor. Looks like you've got a CP3 somewhere in the building. And then a bunch of these FT parts,
Whatever a CP3 is. The AP3s are the automation processors.
Yeah, so AP3s are automation processors. They're generally,
What's a CP3?
CP3s are also processors. Generally, they're used more for AV purposes.
Okay.
AP3s are generally used for lighting purposes.
I see. Okay.
So CP3 is a little bit bigger. It has a little bit more bandwidth, and generally you'd use it for if you have like touchscreens outside of conference rooms that you can put like schedulers on. I don't know if that's the case on
Like
this
Extron?
project. Yeah, like Extron and
Okay.
stuff. It's a lot. That's what you use the CP3s for.
I gotcha. Okay. No, I don't think we have a lot of that.
But yeah,
Maybe.
and-
Who knows? You'll know because you're looking at it. But yeah.
Look,
Good.
generally, you're going to slap them together on the same project to you all parts that you have. If you have like an AV system and a lighting system on the same project, you usually use them together on the
Yeah,
same
we do.
network.
A lot of the classrooms, they have the screen, the projector, the lighting controls from the touch screen, from the
From a podium.
Yeah, and I'm
from
guessing
the
that's
switch
what,
on the wall.
That's what a
probably
lot
what
of
it
this
is.
stuff
Yeah.
is. You see, like each one of these has like an FT. That's a touchscreen. That's probably the touchscreens inside the actual classroom.
Correct, the podium.
And those are probably, while they're going to communicate with the lighting system. And keep in mind, I haven't dug super deep into your system, so I can't speak for sure.
Got it.
But my guess is a lot of those are there's basically probably 2 separate programs running in this building. One that's handling lighting and one that's handling the AV, so the touchscreen side. And they're talking to each other. They're making sure they each can interact with one another, but they are technically 2 separate like things.
Got it. Okay.
So now that I'm in here, I'm just you can set up a little, no, not the filter. You can sort by a number of different options. Just to make it a little bit clearer for me, since this is a new system for me, I'm going to sort it by model name. That way it's just going to sort all like parts with like parts. So I got all my AP3s in a row here. I got all my FT touchscreens in a row, my other touchscreens, and then also my CP3s. So they're all talking together on the same system now. So that could be good. Looks like I got these AP3s. What I'm surprised by, I'm not seeing the DALI controllers. Do you mind if I take a
No,
peek?
please do your thing. I'll try to video as much of this as possible.
That's cool.
I've got a,
That's a lot of information.
and I can upload it to YouTube so that you guys can look at it.
You can see very good. I don't see none of those letters.
Well,
Oh man,
I can't see too
that's
good
super
either.
tiny.
Yeah.
It is tiny. You can make it bigger.
No, that's fine. No, I'm saying you got good eyesight, man.
Well,
I
he's
was like,
young.
wow.
He's
I
a
also-
kid.
Even it right here, I can't see it, bro.
I
It's blurry right here. It's like right here, it's like I can barely.
He's younger than
I know.
40.
Oh,
okay, that's what
Give me a
happened.
couple years. I'll catch up.
No, you're good, good.
Yeah. 45, they say your vision that goes.
Oh,
Enjoy your
Enjoy it while I
vision.
No, I
have
started going already. No, yeah, I
Be
can.
good.
I just go like this. Like this. No.
So what's a little odd to me is I'm not able to see those DALI controllers, even though I'm plugged into the network with them.
Yeah, well, maybe there's a problem with the Ethernet connection on the hub.
Potentially, yeah.
So that's why you're here. Because, yeah, it is very laggy when he tries to interrogate the DALI controller. So we've got like a buffering for quite a long time. I'm not sure how long.
For like 20 minutes.
Yeah, so there's something up.
No, the DALI controller is just a slow part in
Okay,
general.
got
and
it.
So that's also factoring into
Got
it,
it.
I'm
Okay,
sure.
it makes sense.
But so one thing you can do, what I'm going to do right now, just real quick, just because I'm kind of explaining everything as I go. I just want to see if I can talk to it. So I have the IP address for it right here. I connected with USB, but since I'm plugged in with the Ethernet now, I should just be able to type in that same IP address that's right there.
For the DALI controller, huh?
Yeah, for the controller. I should just be able to connect
See it alone.
to it. Yeah. And if I can't,
Without using the DALI commissioning tool.
not using the DALI commissioning tool or anything.
You're
it should
just talking
pop
to
up.
it through the system info tool, or no?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
But it doesn't appear to want to connect when I just connect via the IP address. So,
So there's a problem.
yeah, it looks like there might be a problem. Doesn't seem... It's not like there's any repeated things.
And you see the physical device, you just don't. It's not populated in the list. So
It's
there
not
must.
populated in my list
So
here,
maybe
yeah.
we need to plug in a new Ethernet cord to it to see if we can get it. I don't know what your troubleshooting.
Yeah, I could potentially try a different Ethernet cord. I just want to double check here my settings. Everything looks good there. Let me double check with it's connecting back via USB. It seems to be talking all right over the network. It says it sees the host processor,
Which is downstairs.
which is downstairs.
And so basically the hubs are good, the switches are good. It just can't get to this device. Do you see other?
It can't get to me. Now I can get to it over this USB here, but I can't.
That's not. It should be talking over the actual
I should be
Ethernet
able to talk
network,
over the actual Ethernet network to it as well. Yes.
because that's how it communicates with the other devices. So if
Exactly.
that's messed up, then there's a communication problem between them.
Exactly. I could also try. Does it have the Crestron ID? No, it's talking over